This is Bedtime Stories, Grownup Edition, Concrete Jungle, Part 11. Now, when we left off, Q and Veronica were on their way to Q's parents' house for Sunday dinner. Angela and Regina are on their way to their respective cities. Angela is wrapping up Q's 5th letter, and it was going a little something like this. I know I'm jumping ahead and probably wondering what happened in the years between the wedding that never was and me joining the PR firm, and it's a whole lot of nothing. I had to face a lot of demons head on. I had to deal with the alcoholism that developed from the tragedy that was Danielle's death. See, it didn't have much to do with the wedding that never was. It didn't take long for me to realize that wedding should have never even been planned. But losing Danielle, who had become like a little sister to me, she reminded me so much of my little sister, Anya. When Anya was born, my whole family changed. At first, it was just us boys. Me and my younger brother, Donovan. He and I have always been complete and total opposites. Where I'm weak, he's strong. Where I'm good, he's bad. And then came Anya. She wasn't just the baby of the family. She wasn't just the girl of the family. But Anya was born special. And Donovan and I instantly became her protectors. We had to create a world around Anya that was safe and secure, that was reliable and predictable. We had to shield her from the world outside our walls. And when she was old enough to go outside of those walls, without us, we had to ensure that she had all of the tools that she needed. I learned to be a man from my father. I learned to value women from my mother. But I learned to protect from being my little sister's big brother. A big part of why I chose the career, the business, the field that I love is because Anya is my sister. I pray you'll get to meet her one day. When I got my head back on straight in Fort Worth, I knew I wasn't really ready to leave law enforcement. But I couldn't walk around in that uniform every day. I couldn't go back to patrol. I couldn't start over in a new department. I just couldn't. Instead, I took the training necessary to become a law enforcement instructor. I was hired at a local police department part-time, and I enrolled in a master's program. I obtained my master's degree in criminal justice with a concentration in education and computer technology. And after graduation, I accepted a full-time position at Dallas PD. As luck would have it, that's also where my boy Deuce had landed. Deuce and I had the same idea in mind. Grow in our careers, develop a strong side business that we could rely on in retirement, solidify our relationships with Christ, take care of our families, and that's where the similarities ended. Because he was looking for a wife, and I was not. He met his wife Tracy around that time, and as they got closer, he and I hung out less and less. I knew she was probably the one. My focus was just being the kind of man that God would send a wife, not find one. And then I got the call from Regina. I'm sure it's the same one you got. LJ had been shot. It seems you and I were taking turns taking care of him and Regina, but somehow our paths just never crossed. When he got better and he decided that he would start the firm, he asked if I would partner with him, and I told him I couldn't. I needed to finish out that year at DPD because I had started a new training program and I wanted to see it out. For me, it was a part of my bigger plan. So I told him, get it off the ground, let me handle this, and I'll be back. I got you. When I wrapped up that year, I joined him back in North Carolina. I wasn't on the team 6 months before we got Ramona Harris's case. Ramona had 3 children with her husband, Raymond. Raymond was abusive. He had been for over a decade. Ramona's sister, Brielle, was Lauren, LJ's sister, paralegal at Lauren's law firm. I don't know how acquainted you were with her when you were dealing with your situation, but Brielle came to Lauren and said her sister needed help. She wanted to leave her abusive husband, and she didn't know how. She'd tried in the past, and it just didn't work out. Lauren sent her to LJ. Lauren represented her in the divorce, and LJ and I helped her get low. I was assigned as her personal security. I'd never been with a woman with children. I wasn't even interested. But over time, We developed a friendship. She reminded me so much of my mother. I really couldn't understand how she'd even gotten herself in the predicament she was in. She was just too strong of a force to be controlled by a man. Once she was away from him, she blossomed. She'd been in a position where she was financially dependent on him, so he wasn't just physically abusive, but he was financially and emotionally abusive as well. She was able to secure a job, stable housing for herself and her children, and create a whole new life. Once her divorce was finalized, all of her legal business was handled, and she hadn't had any contact with her ex-husband for more than a year, I decided to act on the attraction that I believed we both felt. And I was right. We developed a relationship, and we tried to take things slow. But having formed such a close friendship during a time in her life that was so traumatic and difficult, it was very easy for us to slip into a relationship and into a routine. I broke my own rule and moved in with her and her children. She told me she just felt safer with me around. And that is when everything went wrong. Meanwhile, Q and Veronica pulled up into his parents' driveway. Standing in the driveway was Q's father and his brother Donovan, drinking beers, laughing, and talking smack. Q got out of the car, helped Veronica out, and started walking down the driveway. Donovan said, "Big bro, what it do? That's you?" Q just shook his head and said, "What up, D?" Q's father, Anders St. James, said, "Son, it's about time you got here." Q said, "Yeah, we ran into a little traffic." Donovan, thinking he meant something else, said, "Oh, traffic." Q said, "Get your head out the gutter, man." "Donovan, this is Veronica. Veronica, this is my brother Donovan. Pops, this is Veronica. Veronica, this is my pops. Everyone calls him Andy." The two men gave Veronica a head nod and a smile and told her that it was nice to meet her and told Q to go ahead and take her inside where the ladies were, grab him a beer, and come back out. Veronica looked at him like, "You better not take me in there and leave me in there with your mama." He walked her inside, and Miss Bella and Anya were standing in the kitchen. Miss Bella yelled over her shoulder, "Dinner's almost ready, hun." Q flicked on and off the kitchen lights to get his sister's attention, and she looked up and he signed, "Hey, little sis." Then he walked over to his mother and gave her a kiss on the cheek. And then he said, "Veronica, this is my mother, Miss Bella. Mom, this is my friend, Veronica." Then he turned to Veronica and said, "This is my little sister, Anya." And then he signed to Anya while saying verbally, "Anya, this is my friend, Veronica." Veronica looked at him, confused, not knowing how she should respond. And then he said, "You can wave." Veronica waved at Anya, and Anya looked Veronica up and down and waved back. Miss Bella said, "Q, tell Anya to go and set the dining room table." So he did. And then Miss Bella said, "Why don't you go join your father and your brother?" Q looked at Veronica and shrugged his shoulders and said, "Yes, ma'am," and walked outside, leaving Veronica in the kitchen with Miss Bella. Miss Bella pulled a pan out of the oven, sat it on the stove, turned around, looked at Veronica, tilted her head, and said, "Oh, baby, are you okay?" Veronica kind of looked startled and said, "Pardon?" Miss Bella said, "Something horrible happened to you, and you haven't told anyone." Veronica looked at Miss Bella, and tears just started coming out of her eyes. Miss Bella grabbed Veronica's hands and held on to them and stared deeply into Veronica's green eyes and said, "Baby, you want to talk about it?" Veronica said, "I don't know what you mean." "Oh, sweetheart, please know that if you want to talk about it, I'm here to listen. And if you want to do something about it, my son can help you. But I must caution you, don't confuse protection with provision." Veronica just stared at Miss Bella. Miss Bella went on, "My son is called to help people. Don't take advantage of that. You are broken in ways that he cannot heal. Only God can. Now, if you need help, that's one thing. If you need healing, that's another." Miss Bella patted her on the hand and told her where the powder room was and told her to freshen up and meet her back in the kitchen. Veronica went into the bathroom and looked in the mirror to see if she could see what it was that Miss Bella saw. She dried her face and went into her purse and used her compact to touch up her makeup. And when she came back out, Miss Bella was waiting for her in the kitchen. Miss Bella looked at Veronica and said, God will never send a whole man to a half a woman, baby. Get whole.